as we serve you with only the best tech updates the world over.
The 24th day of October 2022, good afternoon and happy Diwali to all our Hindu brothers and sisters. You are just in time for a comprehensive news bulletin right here on Channel 1. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Bentro Njoe and Anwangeshi will be our sign language interpreter for these live newscasts. We'll also be having a candid conversation on the housing project in Kenya a little bit later on. For this and more, welcome. Today being the National Food Day, we begin on a food note where as the ASO population of Kenya continues to face high levels of acute food insecurity with the crisis headed to an emergency state, mitigation efforts have been put in place to cushion affected counties. Tana River County Commissioner Thomas Sankey has flagged off relief food for drought-stricken families with more than 100,000 people in the county in dire need of food. Take a look.
Tana River County is one of the ASAL regions in the country which have been hit hard by the prolonged drought, with thousands of residents being in dire need of food. Tana River County Commissioner Thomas Sankey said the county received 2,000 bags of rice and 800 bags of beans, all packed in 50 kilograms bags to be distributed to Tana River, Tana Delta, Galedietu, Bura and Bangali sub-counties.
Na hiyo ni mwanzo tu. Serikali imehakikisha kwamba itakuja mara kwa mara. Na mambo ya water tracking kama vile mmeelezewa, hiyo pia inaendelea. Chakula cha ng'ombe na mbuzi za mifugo, that is, nayo itaendelea kusambazwa.
Tunataka kutafuta kama viongozi long term goal yetu, especially kwa upande wa maji, kutafuta boreholes, kuzieka machines nzuri ambao itasaidia watu kupump maji.
He further affirmed that other interventions to cushion affected families are ongoing, including cash transfer programs which have been carried out by the Kenya Red Cross, World Vision and Islamic Relief Kenya.
Na tungependa kuomba serikali tena waendelee kutusaidia kama wana Tana River na kutuongezea zaidi na zaidi, kwa sababu ukame imekuwa sasa ni janga kubwa sana kwetu.
County government pia nayo inazidi kusaidia wananchi kwa water tracking. Kupitia NDMwe pia anapeleka hiyo maji, maana chakula na maji inaenda kwa pamoja. Bila maji wataumia.
Meanwhile, the county government of Kilifi has signed a 5-year memorandum of understanding with the Clean Cooking Association of Kenya to implement a project dubbed Voices for Climate Action, which aims at increasing the adoption of climate-friendly clean cooking solutions. Speaking to the media after the project launch in Kilifi town, Eric Randu, Chief Officer for the Department of Lands, Housing and Physical Planning in Kilifi County, said that each of the 7 sub-counties now has a briquette making machine that will be used in the production of alternative fuel solutions.
We are aiming to do capacity building in the county, and we are targeting youth groups and women groups across the 7 counties.
These new technologies will benefit the people of Kilifi in that they'll be able to make the improved vehicles. Most of them in the county come from neighboring counties. They'll also be involved in the making of briquettes, which will be a good income earner.
Wale wanahusika na mambo ya kuchoma makaa, ili tukomeshe mambo ya watu kuja wakileta malori wakichukua makaa. Hatua ya kwanza, najua watu wana tabu ya pesa na wanafikiri makaa ni pesa. Yes, ni pesa, lakini tufikirie, je, Kilifi yetu itakuwaje miaka 2 ijayo?
Frederick Muki for Lunchtime News.
And from the food situation in the country to matter security, where the Independent Policing Oversight Authority has dispatched a rapid response team this morning to Kajiado County, where a Pakistan journalist national was killed last evening. The incident comes as the authority welcomed the president's move to disband the Special Service Unit in the wake of many extrajudicial killings and disappearances in Kenya. The board's chair, Anne Makori, says 112 cases are currently under their radar.
There is a alleged police killing of a Pakistani national at Tinga Market, Kajiado County last evening. Our rapid response team has already been dispatched to look at that matter. The name of that Pakistani national is Arshad Mohammed Sharif, aged 50.
We have always sought to know who the members of those units are, who they report to, and how they are formed. So those are questions we have been grappling with. And when the disbandment happened, we were not shocked. But the manner in which it was done, we felt it was a little bit out of procedure.
Still on security, the government has given a 3-day ultimatum to bandits in Turkana County to surrender firearms stolen from slain police officers in Turkana East last month. Tiati Sub-County Deputy Commissioner Jackton Orieni said they have so far recovered 5 firearms.
The killing of 11 people, 8 of them police officers last month, prompted a disarmament operation in Turkana County to mop up illegal firearms in the hands of civilians. Leaders in neighboring Baringo County have lauded the exercise, saying peace has to be restored in the volatile area.
The bandit is amongst us. The bandit has a name. The bandit has a father, a mother, a brother. It's high time to call your son a bandit, and it's high time to present this person to the government. It's high time for justice to prevail. We take full responsibility of everything that is happening in Tiati. We have to change the mindset. Until we change the mindset, that is the only way that we are going to achieve peace.
Baringo South MP Charles Kamuren, together with other leaders, also want the government to start the process of resettling displaced persons in Baringo South to enable them restore their livelihoods.
Ningeomba kuomba wale watu ambao walifurushwa mwakao, watu wa Makutani, watu wa Sinoni, watu wa Araban, waweze kurejeshwa nyumbani na wapate kupewa chakula, wapate kupewa nyumba na wasapotiwe na serikali ili waweze maisha yao ipate kurudi kama kawaida.
Tunaomba kwamba hiyo kazi iendelee na wasiende tu kutafuta ile bunduki ambayo wakaidi walichukua ya serikali, bali wafanye disarmament yote, wachukue kila bunduki ambayo raia wanayo, kwa sababu saa hii mashule zingine haijafunguliwa kwa sababu ya hiyo mambo ya usalama.
Pauline Nasimio for Lunchtime News.
And in other news, real estate investors have urged President William Ruto to protect Kenyans against fraudulent investors in the land sector. According to the stakeholders, past events of fraud has led to mistrust in the sector that is key in realizing the government's quest for affordable housing. Speaking while issuing title deeds to investors, Hodari Homes Chief Executive Officer Musa Wagaterina challenged young people to always save and kickstart their investment journey when they are still at their prime years.
Naweza ambia my client ni kuwa ni vizuri waweze kuwekeza na kampuni ile wanajua mwishowe watakuja kupata title deed, kwa sababu ni watu wengi sana tumepanguza machozi. Mtu anakuambia alinunua land mahali fulani hakuwaipata title deed. Hiyo ndio changamoto kwanza tunapataga sisi kama watu wa real estate. Ili uweze kufanya hii biashara, kitu ya kwanza mpaka uwe na shamba ambayo ni legit, ambayo ni yako, kwa sababu watu wengi sana wamekuwa wakitapeli watu.
Tungeomba rais wetu mpendwa William Samoei Ruto uweze kusaidia, maanake kuna watu wengi wamekuwa wakora, wamekuwa ambao hawaaminiki, wanakuja kuibia wananchi wa Kenya. Unapata mwananchi wa Kenya ambaye anajitafutia pesa yake kidogo, anakuja kunyang'anywa na waporaji.
Wao wakiweka pesa kidogo kidogo, wasione kwamba ni mzigo kununua shamba, maana ukingoja utakuja utashindiwa.
The county government of Kericho has launched a program of giving out free tea seedlings to vulnerable families in 15 tea growing wards. And as a start, 20 vulnerable families have been given 500 tea seedlings each to plant in their farms as a way of improving their livelihoods. Kericho Governor Eric Mutai, who led the exercise, said another 20 families from other 14 wards will also be given 500 free seedlings each, with 300 families from 15 coffee growing wards will be given 300 seedlings each.
We are going to empower in the 15 wards that are growing tea. Every year we are going to empower 300 farmers with the best clones of tea. The tea we have here is clone 225, which is the best tea and the latest in the market. And I promise you during the campaign that we'll help those farmers and support them so that we'll have more farmers planting tea and also being able to feed their children, pay NHIF and pay school fees. We are issuing 300 coffee seedlings to 300 homes in every ward in those areas that are growing coffee. And you want to see coffee stretching all the way to Cheptuyet and other regions from Kipkelion to Ainamo in lower parts, to Short lower part of Baldai, and stretching all the way to Bureti, Moino. And we are going to issue 300 bushels of coffee.
Elsewhere, residents of Sigalagala village, Ikolomani constituency in Kakamega County have decried the rising cases of crime in the area. They say marauding gangs have wreaked havoc, raiding homes, businesses, premises, and attacking students. Maxine Osombi, a trader in Sigalagala, lamented how she has been robbed twice, thus losing goods worth over 700,000. Residents have denounced laxity by local authorities following increasing cases of students being attacked by unknown assailants. They are calling on the county government to set up street lighting, speed bumps, road signs in a move to combat the night thefts.
Venye tumekuwa msimu wa kura, wanafunzi hawakukua na niliibiwa mara mbili. Venye wamerudi hivi tena bado wizi inaibiwa. Hizi majengo zote unaona yako bure kwa sababu wakazi watu tunatoka Kakamega na kuja biashara hapa kila siku. Unashindwa tutaishi vipi? Ukilala usiku unaamuka unapata hii mlango ya duka nimetengeneza juzi. Bado leo unakuja makafuli 3 wamekata, wamechukua zote na wamechukua bidhaa zote na kila kitu.
Lakini tunahofia usalama, hata wanafunzi wenyewe wasigalagala. Hawana security vile, wanakatokatwa mpaka hata itafanya watolewe hapa. Sisi wana biashara tukosa hata biashara.
Tuna learning institutions kama university, hakuna pambo yoyote ambayo imewekwa hapo. Barabara hii iko loose, signs zozote za kuonyesha hapa tuna kitu ya crossing hakuna. Ziliwekwa kwa barabara hii ya kwenda Webuye ili isaidie watu wa Lurambi. Hizi taa zimeangushwa na mashine na tractors za West Kenya, na hakuna mtu mkubwa yeyote ambaye anaongea juu ya hiyo.
Kwa upande wa security lights, at least tuwekewe kutoka Mseno hadi Sigalagala, ndio hata mtu akipita mwanajua kwamba huyu mtu alikuwa mtu mhalifu ama ni mtu mzuri.
Wezi ya usalama tunaomba ya kwamba tuko na Ikolomani, tuko na Marinya, na tuko na Kayaka police station, na tuko na Shinyalu police station. Washikane na OCS wala hata kama ni makopra. Tunataka watuweze kufanya kazi usiku, sio wakati ndani ya station. Jioni wakikuwa washatoka vile wakae ndani ya station, ni wengine wasunguke na Land Rover, na wengine wasunguke kwa miguu ili wanaweza kutana na wale wajanja. Sababu mtu akiwa na mjanja anatembea usiku, saa 8 za usiku ametoka wapi?
Moving on, Zetech University has called on the task force formed to scrutinize the competency-based curriculum CBC to ensure the model is uniform in the entire country. The university deputy vice-chancellor, Professor Alice Njuguna, said that ensuring uniformity of the curriculum will ensure that all learners undergo equal training regardless of their backgrounds, communities or regions. Open day in their Thika Road campus, Njuguna said the new learning model is imperative in transforming the country as it prepares learners to be innovative and adapt to the latest and changing technological advancement globally.
CBC is not a change of curriculum. CBC is a change of pedagogy, the change of how we actually teach. So right now our only concern is that whether the staff who are implementing the curriculum have been trained adequately. So the only thing we'd want to see changed is further training and further participation of the stakeholders, so that even as the teachers go to class, as the lecturers go to class, when the students finally join us at the university, they're very familiar with what is expected of them.
Now to county number 14, where residents from Evurore Ward in Mbeere North Sub-County, Embu County, have appealed to the national and county government to protect them from powerful individuals they say have interfered with their group activities of providing water to residents. Residents say the power-wielding cartels have infiltrated their CBO and are interfering with their water provision activities.
The residents say they formed a CBO that has provided members with water from Mount Kenya in the semi-arid area of Mbeere for a while now, but cartels have infiltrated their CBO and now want to hijack their business.
Sasa hii watu walikuja upande ya Gamarandi, waliondoa watu ya Gamarandi, wakaleta watu yao, na hao watu hakuna mali wako kwa maji huko, kwa sheria za maji. Halafu tukaona hii watu walikuja kunyanyasa watu yetu, ambaye ni watu wanyonge, wale watu walitafuta maji. Tukaambia watu wa Gamarandi, hii watu hatuanjui, tunataka wale watu wetu wanyonge.
Ni mambo ambayo ilitendwa na wenzetu ambao tulikuwa tumeungana nao hapo mbeleni, lakini wakafanya ukora wa kuuza maji yetu kwa watu ambao hatuwajui. Na hiyo ikatupatia sinda mingi, maana tumezumbuka kutoka mwaka jana na sasa tumemaliza mwaka moja na miezi miwili bila kuwa na maji upande wa chini.
They have accused the cartels of diverting water meant to assist the less fortunate, who came together to address a common problem facing vulnerable people in the area. The CBO members have benefited from grants worth 35 million Kenya shillings and have been able to connect water for irrigation to homes.
Nitakuwa naenda kwa shamba yangu, ninalima, nikirudi nyumbani, ninaoga, ninapika. Hakuna taabu, sasa imeisha yote. Na ninashukuru watu wa...
The officials have confirmed that members have been without water despite the ravaging drought that has seen many crops dry up.
Na maazara hawa tunaomba hata serikali iongeze hii maji, itufanyie ndamu, ili maji iongezeke, watu walime vizuri. Kwa vile ile maji tuko naye, kila mkulima iko na kuota, ile kamuferenji ya kuota, hakuna ati ile maji inaweza lima, mtu anapata pesa.
Embu County is said to be among 29 counties worst hit by the ongoing drought. Embu County Governor Cecily Mbarire earlier, while appealing for relief food, said more than 100,000 people were facing starvation in the county.
And from Embu back to the city, where residents of Dandora Phase 5 estate in Nairobi have urged the government to help protect their small and medium enterprises after a group of rowdy youth demolished a section of their kiosk last night. While protesting the move, the group pointed fingers at the area chief, whom they accused of allegedly being involved in the demolition process. They now want relevant authorities to investigate the matter, saying the destruction has disrupted their source of income.
Asubuhi huyu mama yo akanipigia simu akaniambia huyu vibanda imepomolewa. Kuingia hapa ndio nikapata hakuna. Tangu asubuhi atuchauza. Na hapa ndio ninatoanga school fees, ndio ninalipa nyumba, watoto wanaenda shule, chakula ni hapa. Sasa ndio tumeshinda. Sisi ni mama mboga, asora. Alafu tunataka mtusaidie. Tunaenda wapi?
Sina bwana, sina kazi yote. Kazi yangu tu ni kuuza hapa kwa parapara. Nachoma mahindi, nauza njugu karanga, nauza maembe na avocado. Sasa hata sina pesa ya kuuza. Nao wanakuja wanatuambia leo tutaangusha hizi vipanda chini, mjipange.
Wanatuumiza. Serikali atoke nje. Ama hii ndio bottom up ilianza wamama wa mboga. Inastahili tukanyage chini kama wamama. Tusinyanyaswe. Tutoke nje.
Sasa tumekuja kubomolewa vibanda na hizi vibanda zimetusaidia sana kutoka 2015 tukiwa hapa. Wengi wetu tumetegemea hizi vibanda kama school fees, nyumba, kulipa rent. Si ni hasa tu mboga. Hii nini tunatuma kwa Ruto atusaidie.
Watu wa kanisa ndio walikuja hatutaki hapa. Sasa tutafanya aje? Yeye ndio watufanya tuombe tupate pesa vile tunaendelea na watoto shule. Na sasa hii ni maisha gani yawa? Maisha gani?
Chinese President Xi Jinping says China will open its door wider to the rest of the world. Xi Jinping said that a prosperous China will create many more opportunities for the world, saying China cannot develop in isolation from the world and that the world needs China for its development.
Chinese President Xi says in the 40 years of relentless reform and opening up, China has created the twin miracles of fast economic growth and long-term social stability. Xi says the Chinese economy has great resilience and potential and that the country will open up its doors wider to the rest of the world in deepening reforms that will foster prosperous China. For Xi, the Chinese economy has great resilience and potential and it will remain on the positive trajectory over the long run.
Over 100 students from Kaplong Girls High School in Bomet County are admitted at the Kaplong Mission Hospital after Saturday's evening inferno in the teachers' quarters. The fire is reported to have been caused by a power fault in one of the teachers' houses, which then spread to other buildings in the school.
According to the hospital medical superintendent at Kaplong Mission Hospital, Stanley Kiplangat, most of the girls brought to the hospital suffered shock following the fire incident.
Most of them were just hysterical because of the anxiety of the issue that happened. So they were in shock. We were able to admit them overnight for observation.
The fire razed 15 temporary structures at Kaplong Girls High School. Members of the public, Bomet County Disaster Department and school officials all worked together to contain the fire. Most of the students were discharged from the hospital on Saturday night, with some few others who had underlying conditions that got worse from the incident still being monitored.
The school was able to evacuate them to the convent, which is next to the school. And from the convent, our staff went there and identified those who needed help, and they were brought to our facility, about 100 of them.
Counsellors have been sent to the school to offer counselling sessions to the affected.
Very well, and at about 22 minutes past the hour, we are due for a fast break, but don't worry, on the other side of the break, we still have more news, more business news, and also we will be looking at what's happening in the world of sports. But before I do go for that short break, together with Anne Wangeshi, Salima Boke, following from Sirori, Simba, Kuria, Migori County, Stephen Maina, you say you're tuned, Enos Omothi, watching from CBD. Watching 1 p.m. Thank you so much. And also Geoffrey Mwangi, well represented from Solio, Laikipia County, just to sample some of your responses on social media. Let's have that break. We'll be right back with more news.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
To get Change Your Thinking Skizatune, dial star 811 star 961 hash.
When you change the quality of your thinking, you change the quality of your life. Sometimes instantly, just as positive words can make someone calm, smile or laugh, your thoughts will react to the world in real time. So, change the quality of your thinking.
Dial star 811 star 961 hash. Star 811 star 961 hash.
His Highness only keeps her around because she holds her ladyship's eyes. Eyes? Lady Suzanne stole her current eyes from Ali's mother.
His love for Ali's mother must have been profound. If my guess is correct, Suzanne must have been involved in what happened to his mother.
If I told you he was really returning, would you believe it?
You aren't messing with me, are you?
Betsy, this time I'm absolutely certain.
She's in a cell.
How dare you?
Sasa ni saa ngapi? Sina saa.
Woi! Hii unakaga mafamba ya. Si unajua mkaka ako na mechanical problems.
Wewe usiingize huko ndani. Karibu nipate nini? Cesarean stroke baro.
At KBC Channel 1, we put people at the heart of events with our captivating weekly news features. Every day, we are breaking new grounds with informative, entertaining, and inspiring human interest stories. On Mondays, 9 p.m., we have The Cabinets. Tuesday, 9 p.m., we get inside the barracks for military tales. We delve in the world of cinemas and theater each Wednesday night. For the young and industrious, make a date with us every Thursday at 9 p.m. Fridays are dedicated for my culture. On Saturdays, we go back in time for history in perspective. And on Sundays, we get to know the process of how things are done and made. KBC Channel 1 News features a whole lot of wonderful viewing experience.
Welcome back to KBC Lunchtime News, and as I had promised earlier, we'll be having a candid conversation on affordable housing, but that's a little bit later. Now to more news. Residents of Lafay sub-county in Mandera County are breathing a sigh of relief after their health center was reopened following temporary closure of the institution on February 20th this year. The health center had been closed due to an abduction of a health worker, Jackson Kabu, by alleged Al-Shabaab militia. A health professional has also been posted at the facility to aid service delivery.
You are aware this health center has been without a staff for the last 8 months. Now we have got a new staff from the county government through the MCA and the other authorities. We are highly relieved, bearing in mind that this has been a high volume health center. People have been suffering for the last 8 months, but at least now we have a sign of relief.
Waweze kutuharakishia
vile tunaweza pata zaidi ya dawa katika hospitali hii na vile tunaweza pata maongezeko ya madaktari katika hili jengo la hospitali la Finno. Tunaomba serikali watuharikishie ndio tupate wahudumu wa afya ambao inatosha kuhudumia wananchi wa Finno.
And still on health, Governor Nathif Jama has called for more public-private partnership to improve healthcare services in the country. He said the existing public health facilities can be complemented with private ones to enhance access to medical care.
Speaking at Bullet Hakore in the outskirts of Garissa town, when he officially opened Emirates Hospital, Garissa Governor Nathif Jama said that public and private facilities should not be seen as competing with each other, but rather supporting each other.
Mradi wa private hospitals inatufaa sana na tunahitaji, si eti kwamba sisi tuko na Garissa General Hospital ama tuko na facilities za serikali ati bora tuwa launch ama tuwafungua ama tuwapongeza private. See, we need these hospitals for ajili ya complement our other activities at the county level.
Jama also said the county government was working hard to reduce the high rates of maternal and infant mortality in Garissa. According to the Kenya Demographic Health Survey in 2014, the maternal mortality rate in Garissa County was 646 per 100,000 births against the national estimate of 362 per 100,000 births.
Garissa County is among the highest in the country in terms of mother mortality rates and mother child mortality rates. Kwa hivyo hii mradi kama huo leo ambao tuliona hapa kuna facility mrembo sana wa maternity. I saw it and it's a very nice one.
The governor, who campaigned on a platform of improving healthcare in the county that had seen the standards go to an all-time low, further said that he was in touch with NHIF officials to see to it that more residents are enrolled into medical cover. For Lunchtime News, I am Aurelia Emomeri.
Now to the world of business, where Busia Governor Dr. Paul Otuoma, apologies for that, we'll get to that story a little bit later, but for now, I had promised you an interactive segment here on affordable housing. We have Willie Kimani, who is the CEO of Username Limited. Karibu sana, Bwana Kimani.
Asante.
Now, first things first, we have seen our President William Ruto embark on a campaign to ensure that Kenyans get affordable housing. And we had affordable housing in the Big Four agenda, but it met a lot of challenges. How can we circumvent or can we go around these challenges to ensure that this time round we do not have the same challenges that we have had in affordable housing?
Thank you for the invitation. My name is Ruben Kimani, CEO Username Investment Limited. This is a leading award-winning real estate company in Kenya, and thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome.
I've been here before talking about the same subject. This is something that seems not to be going away. Affordable housing is one of the basic needs of human beings, be it shelter, and this is a subject that has been there since the former president gave a 500,000 target for affordable housing. Basically, we have a huge shortage of housing in Kenya. If you go to the street today, maybe 1 out of 10 people you meet there will not have a house which they can call their own home. So there have been many challenges in this sector, just like many other sectors in the economy, which I believe personally, having been in the real estate sector for some time, if we were to deal with them head on, we would solve this problem. I think I would divide them into 4 challenges. Allow me to highlight them. The first one is affordable land. That's where Username Investment comes in. The second one is building materials, cost of building materials. And the third thing is financing. Most people are not able to access financing for them to be able to buy some of these houses that are in the market. Who would not like to live in Karen, for example, or Runda? Everyone would like to go there, but the reality is we can't afford it. And the last thing is about labor, and we are talking about qualified labor. If you ask someone in the street right now, getting a foodie who can do a good job in your house is not a challenge. So those are like 4 challenges, and I believe if you are to tackle them one by one, we would be able to solve this problem.
That's a very good answer, because you've talked about even your company in regards to the same. And looking at mortgage for the so many years we have been in the country, it has been quite unaffordable to many Kenyans. But the head of state in his program, he has talked about affordable housing for everyone. The money that you use for your rent could be your mortgage. And we have known quite in the last couple of years, and even companies have tried to bridge that gap, but they have not been able to do that. And you've highlighted some of the issues that have led to the same. The head of state did say, yes, indeed, your rent could be your mortgage. How sustainable is it, and how can companies like Username chip in to bridge the gap that has always been there?
I think one of the biggest challenges is financing, apart from affordable land, which we really try to provide. But allow me to say this before I talk about mortgage financing and the challenges they are in. You'll find that most people in Kenya will go for what I would call step-by-step development. We have like 25,000 mortgages in Kenya. Most people, from our experience, would like to develop their own houses. That's why they would buy value-added affordable pieces of properties, land, and then start building, because you look at how much they can be able to afford in terms of their income. Most people are middle income. Research was done, and I think we had 76,000 people who earn more than 100,000. That is a very small population looking at our 50 million population. So financing is a big deal, if you ask me. And I think if you are to offer what you find in the West, other countries, these are benchmarking, you find that they can be able to afford what the president was calling single-digit lending in terms of mortgages. What does that mean? If you are buying an affordable house somewhere which have been built by Username Investment, going for 5 million shillings, you'll find that the mortgage repayments are way lower compared to the rent. What do you do as a sensible person? You'd rather own that house in the first place. But right now you'll find that for a house where you'd rent for 50,000, most likely you pay between 75 to 100,000 as mortgage repayment. So you'll find that most people naturally would go for renting. So if we can change that equation, I know this Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company that has been developed. I think we need to fund this organization more. And if you look at Kenyans today, we also need to create awareness. If you mention about mortgage, people will tell you that that's something that I can't consider, because maybe they don't have the inner details of how it works to know that it's a good thing as long as you do it the right way.
And after the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of challenges came about even in the housing sector. And you will find people, and especially those who have some source of income, asking the big question, do I buy the plot and then build? Do I buy an already constructed house, or do I opt for the mortgage? Based on what you have seen in the market trend that have been in the last couple of, let's say 2 or 3 years after COVID and during COVID, after the COVID, what lessons have we gotten in terms of what one can opt for? The government wants to construct the houses, and then people can move in the house and still continue paying the mortgage. Some people opt to buy land and build their own houses, and others opt for the mortgage, just as you've talked about.
Like I've mentioned, you'll find that I would say more than 90% of the people would opt to do what we call step-by-step development. They buy land, they do the foundation once they get some money per DM, over time, some small business somewhere, then they do the main structure, then they do the roofing. Finally, some of them will even enter as they do the interior design. Because of the availability of funds, they cannot be able to access 5 million at once, but they can be able to access 500,000 over some time. That's why you'll find most people go for that route. But if you find a place where I find a ready-made house, It has already completed, and the mortgage financing is something that I can't afford. Look at the salary that we have in the employed segment. Even though those who do small businesses, the incomes they have every month, we are talking about people who earn less than 50,000. If you go to the bottom of the pyramid, the figures are even more scary. So for me, depending on your circumstances, you can go for either buying a ready-made house or building. For those who have very good pay, most likely you go for completed housing. You take it, in a few months you are already in. But allow me to also say something else that is very important before my time is over. I feel because affordable land is the first challenge you deal with in affordable housing. I heard the government was planning to provide those parastatal pieces of property. Some of them are very prime government land, partner with the developer, that's a good thing. But I also say, if you look at Mexico today, I read somewhere that a few years ago, like 10 years ago, they made a radius of 80 kilometers, basically looking at 8-kilometer radius from Mexico City. That's where people are going to live. What do you do in those areas? You provide key infrastructure, and you spend so much money as developers. You provide roads, sewerage, water, electricity in that radius. You can look at 20 kilometers, that's how we work at Username Investment, 20-kilometer radius in other cities because the population is way slower. Provide infrastructure, allow developers like Username Investment to come and develop houses there, do value-added plots, and most people, millions of them, you see the trend we have in this country. Every time you build a tarmac, what happens? The value of the land goes up because finally people can access those places, leave your house in the morning and go back in the evening in good time. So I feel that that is very important for the government to do. The government may not be able to do 250,000 houses, but if they provide policies, incentives, for the majority of the business people, these are developers to do it. Millions of people will be able to access these opportunities, and that's how you hit the 250,000 units that the government has targeted.
And maybe in 30 seconds, finally, you've mentioned an institution like the Kenya mortgage refinancing, and how it can be able to actualize the affordable housing, because if we have to actualize at least 50,000 housing units every year, we have to bring in Username, we have to bring in Kenya mortgage refinancing and other corporates to ensure that it's affordable for Kenyans.
I would like to say, because I have 30 seconds, I know financing is very important, but allow me also to say, to touch about building materials. If we have to look at taxes that make building materials expensive, I think we really need to do that. We also need to look at, apart from that single-digit lending, we also need to look at labor. The cost of labor is not extremely high in Kenya, but finding someone who can do a good job is very difficult. I know we have TVETs in this country. And finally, maybe you can give developers incentives. The way, of course, you have Hustlers Fund, we can have a fund for housing as well in Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company. If I develop infrastructure, because we spend a lot of money doing roads, fences, gates, sewerage, electricity, if you can give us incentives such that if I do them, I get some tax break, I think this is something the government can look at, because we are in business to make a small profit and also to provide housing to Kenyans, shelter. If we have those incentives, you'll find so many people taking them up, and they'll help the government. The government doesn't need to build these houses themselves, but private developer and business people can do wonders.
All right. Thank you so much, Ruben Kimani, for that comprehensive report. Kimani being the CEO of Username Investment Company, putting into perspective matters accelerating the affordable housing. And still on the same, the head of state tomorrow will be launching a project in Kibera. We'll be keeping you updated on that. Thank you so much, Kimani, for that. But we do continue with our news. 100 young women have received training in plumbing, electrical and painting, courtesy of the 30 million Tumikia Mtoto project implemented by the World Vision Kenya. The project is aimed at enhancing the employability, income and livelihoods of the vulnerable young women aged 18 to 24 from Nairobi and Kiambu counties by boosting their technical skill sets.
The unemployment rate in Kenya is expected to hit 7.4% by the end of this quarter, according to Trading Economics Global Macro Models and Analyst expectations. The firm says in the long term, the number will hit 7% in 2023 and 6.8% in 2024. This, coupled with the adoption of the new technology by companies, has seen most youth fall out of the employment bracket. To remedy this, Family Group Foundation and USAID launched a 30 million shillings Tumikia Mtoto project implemented by the World Vision Kenya, aimed at enhancing employability, income and livelihoods of vulnerable young women aged between 18 to 24 from Nairobi and Kiambu counties.
80% of these young women and girls have transitioned into internships and decent work in a sector that was previously male-dominated.
The beneficiaries will also receive state-of-the-art construction toolkits to equip them for the labor market.
Have a positive attitude about these things. Positive attitude. Don't look at it as the end of the world because something bad has happened to you. All of you, of course, know this.
Under the program, the young women will also learn soft skills in communication, financial planning, as well as sexual and reproductive health information.
Over half of the graduates of the previous cohorts are now earning a daily income between 800 shillings and 1,500 shillings. And while that's great to hear, I think collectively between the U.S. government, the Kenyan government, the private sector, and our NGO partners, there's more that we can do.
In June, 176 young women and adolescent girls under the first and second cohorts graduated into the trades of plumbing, electrical and painting, bringing the total number of technical and vocational graduates to 276. Regina Manyara reporting for Lunchtime News.
Of sports, where Kenya's Karan Patel won the season-closing Zambia International Rally in Lusaka but lost the FIA African Rally Championships ARC title to dollar-based speedster Leroy Gomez. Karan, who is also a contender for the 2022 Kenya National Rally Championship title, saw the coveted title slip through his grasp despite winning 4 out of 6 rounds in Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania and Zambia. Victory in the 48th edition of Raye Bandama in Cote d'Ivoire in February gave the husband and wife team of Leroy and Ushla Gomez a head start in the 6-leg competition, whose last round in South Africa was called off due to financial constraint. After Cote d'Ivoire, Gomez finished second in the subsequent 5 rounds in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda and Zambia to seal his maiden career title on home soil. McRae Kimathi won the ARC 3 title, while Hamza Anwar bagged the ARC junior title. For the field, Max Verstappen fought back to pass Lewis Hamilton to win a dramatic United States Formula One Grand Prix and equal the record for victories in a season. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, finished third from 12th on the grid ahead of Red Bull's Sergio Perez and Mercedes' George Russell. Take a look.